Hi, and welcome to Video Games Revisited. Today, we're going to be looking at Halloween on the Atari 2600. Published in 1983 by Wizard Video Games, Halloween is an action horror game based upon the popular movie of the same name. As you can see, the graphics are far from the most basic Atari 2600 graphics, and fans of the movie will be pleased to hear the infamous score from the movie makes an appearance. Although this is close to being almost the only sound in the game, and the frequency with which it's played can get quite aggravating after a while. However, this score and the title of the movie are the only things that have carried over from the film. A quick flick through the manual will show all of the characters don't go by the names that they had in the film, and even the infamous name Mike Myers is missing, which I can only put down to problems with the licensing, as the serial killer who stalks you from room to room in this game is quite clearly Michael Myers. In Halloween, you take on the role of a babysitter, and the aim is to lead terrified children that are present in many of the rooms in the house back to the safe rooms located to the far left and right of this house. You escort these children by walking up to them, pressing the fire button on the joystick, and then walking with them to a safe room. With a child in the safe room, you're awarded a certain amount of points, and then you can continue on your never-ending quest to escort these children to safety. However, to make life harder for you, Michael Myers is present in almost every room in the house and will either creep on from the left, right, or jump out of a doorway, and if either you or the child come in contact with him, you will die instantly. The child will be stabbed to death with a surprisingly gruesome squirt of blood, and you'll have your head sheared clean off. Now, I'm surprised they can show such a graphic death of a child in a game. Even now I could see this being quite controversial. However, even with the ability to kill you instantly, Michael Myers isn't particularly threatening in the game, as he simply just homes in on you a lot slower than you can move about. So to avoid him, you simply run straight at him while sticking to the top wall of a room, and just pull down when he gets close to steer right around him. Even when you have a child in tow, it's not really an issue, as he always goes for the kid first of all. So if you're relatively cold-hearted, you can just use the children as cannon fodder. The only times the killer really causes problems is if you're not paying attention and he jumps out of a doorway as you walk past it, or if you're in one of the occasional blackout rooms where the lighting strobes and judging his exact position becomes a little harder. And even if he does catch you out, you're given 3 lives in this game, which will last you a surprisingly long amount of time with a little practice. However, if you do fancy giving Michael a taste of his own medicine, there is a knife that will be randomly generated in rooms around the house, which you can pick up and then stab the killer, causing him to run off screen and leave you alone momentarily. However, like the films, he is invincible and will never actually die. Whilst Halloween may not stick to the story of the film verbatim, when you take into consideration the limits of the Atari 2600 that have struggled to really follow the plot, instead you have a game that shows the evil killer that is Mike Myers mercilessly killing people. So in conclusion, Halloween's a relatively competent game that doesn't stray too far from the source material, and whilst it isn't the most dynamic game in the world and is far from a classic, it's functional, intuitive, and far from the hideous game you may have been led to believe. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my review, and I'll see you next time. Take care.